operator that really does stick out is Malusi, and the impact that she can have. Team Liquid, obviously, well, they're going to be prepared to play with out the Malusi on their side. Armory and Throne will be the very first defense for BDS. In terms of the bomb sites, we do tend to see all 4 sites get played on Theme Park to varying success rates. The only downside to Theme Park, Sam, is that this has been the least played map here at this event, so we don't have the greatest amount of stats and history to go off of. The good news is that these teams have played it in their respective regions and at majors before, so we can at least go off of that.
Well, the good news is that it's actually the 3rd most defender-sided map that we have here at the Major. The other 2, Oregon and Clubhouse. We won't be seeing any Club today, but we will be seeing some Oregon. Theme Park, 58% defensive win rate. Lab and Storage, actually the highest of all of the sites at a 71% defensive win rate. So Team BDS going to be starting off strong here. Also love the Valkyrie band coming out here. This is something that Ask really likes to play on defense, so definitely think it's strong to try and take that away from him. But fortunately enough, folks, we're already right into it. And this is bread and butter Liquid right here. We're going to have Ask on the Twitch. He's been one of the mainstays here on this op the entire tournament.
It's going to be a long matchup. I'm almost certain of it. We had some quick 2-0s to start off the quarterfinals, but yesterday both semis went to all 3 maps. And with the way that these teams play out on a best-of-5 series, you expect a team to take their respective map almost every single time. It's the same thing when you look at best-of-3s. Nick and I touched upon this in the semi that we did yesterday between W7M and Team Liquid, is that the mindset of most teams is you're going to win your map, you're going to lose your opponent's map because of the way that a best-of-3 pick and ban system works. Your opponents are going to exploit the weakness in your map pool, beat you on it, and then you go to that 3rd map, and you have to ensure that the 3rd map that you play is one that is favorable to you. The ultimate tiebreaker map in a best-of-5 is not the 3rd map, but in fact the 5th, and it's Skyscraper, if we need all 5 of them. Just a reminder for all of you as well, there is no unlimited overtime in any of these matches, so it will be the standard 3-site rotation on OT. Nesk the opening pick, but he's answered back by Shaiko. Nesk still in this spot, and he can light up 2, but not a 3rd. EFAC with that kill, down goes Nesk, and the team's into a 3v3 as we hit the halfway point in round number 1.
Well, Liquid were thinking about that west side, but they quickly throw it over to the east. Nesk sneaks inside, gets himself 2, but BDS fire back. That's what we expect out of them, especially from EFAC and Shaiko. Trying to hold this presence on the top floor, but Resets is present as well. Let's try and work his way outside. Those EMPs going to be vital to trying to get them across this building. Although Lagonis, he has died, no more hard breach on this offense. Gonna have to try and funnel in, and this might be one of the worst sites to try that.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
Talked a lot about the rookies and the impact that they've had. At one point, people astonished at Palu when he made his debut, asking Resets as well, acclimating to this highest level of play. But I feel like because he's overshadowed often by both Breeding and Shaiko, EFAC doesn't get the credit he deserves, but he's had a stellar major so far, and there he is, taking down Resets. Unable to do much more. A sprint back to the bomb site, greeted by Liquid, but it puts Ask in a position where he must clutch out in a 1v2, and you're going up against 2 of the most formidable folks in all of Europe inside a split. Hitting that goo mine, giving away information to BDS as to where he's going to go, and amidst the smoke he's tossed down. He could make some serious noise, but BDS will be very patient. There's damage done to Ask around the throne, still just getting softened up, and it's Bride chipping away at him. Liquid didn't seem to know where it was coming from, and BDS start off with a victory in round 1.
Nesk with some nice openers there, Parker, but it doesn't mean anything when your hard breach dies, especially in a thrown defense. You can't get any of those walls open. You have to try and play around the doors. And BDS too potent when it came to shutting down that top floor clear, keeping things even the entire time, which usually ends up favoring the defense when it comes down to the utility game. BDS gonna get ahead by 1 here, but they won't have access to Armory Throne any longer. We have to go somewhere else, and where is it? Well, it's gonna be Bunk Daycare this time around. We're not gonna be changing up things too much, mostly keeping our favorite fraggers from BDS on some fragging operators, especially for Shaiko. I always love seeing him on the Legion, Parker. It's one of those ops that you can use any which way, any which how, and you usually find success.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to need an operator to slow down the attackers. Liquid deliberately took Malusi out of play. So who comes in as the next suitable candidate to fill that role that you're going to see on an operator that is flexible, that can play deep in the bomb site, can roam effectively, but also has gadgetry that can stop them in their tracks, whether it's impact, whether it's the actual gadget itself. And both Lesion and Malusi have very good guns. They can roam effectively, and they have gadgets that are hard to evade and work for both intel and to also disrupt the attackers. So Lesion is that perfect substitute. So even with the target ban from Liquid, BDS showing that they can be adaptable and pick an operator that fills that void. And it's not surprising to see Lesion being a staple play of BDS through these 2 rounds.
You can just see how annoying that op can be, especially in that last round. Ask, one of the best players in the world at the current moment, he still gets thwarted by it trying to step in through the main hall for Armory. But now into this round, we've had a couple of switch-ups here. Lagonis is still going to stick to his Hibana for Hard Breach. Palu also getting added with the ace, the redundancy in Hard Breach coming through. And this is something we would have liked to see in the last round, but unfortunately enough for Liquid, just really not using their attacker repick to its fullest advantage. Nesk is also going to shift gears as Ask will pick up Sledge. He's going to bring in the Yana for some extra info.
We've been seeing Liquid run the Twitch so reliably against all of their opponents because with where we are right now, with Malusi's on the board, Goyo's on the board, when you have a Valkyrie show up from time and time again, Mira also seeing quite a lot of play, you get so much value out of those Twitch drones. If you look at the lineup from BDS, Twitch doesn't really do all that much against the Kiba barriers from Azami. Certainly doesn't do all that much against Alem's Surya Gates either. Yeah, you can take out whatever goo mines you might find in the Alibi clones, but that's not a ton of value. And other than a good gun, I like that we see Liquid changing things up. Now they've lost Ask first. Lagonis answers back by taking out Brede. Whatever smoke, whatever blinding comes in from the attackers will not be able to be seen through with the Warden off the board. So that gives a great deal of strength to whatever you want to see from Liquid. They don't have any smokes on the board and they only have 3 flashes. A second pick from Liquid as Renshiro falls, and we have just a minute to go with Liquid having a numbers advantage.
Liquid seeping through the cracks. Palu, he works in through break and he gets a hold of Arcade Balcony, trying to deal with the Azami, holding onto the door. BDS, they're doing a bang-up job of holding the main hallway here for the site, but Team Liquid, they've quickly captured Cafe, also main arcade. They're trying to creep in through daycare right now. Nesk with a big shot. They'll take down Alems as well. This is looking like the plant will come through. It's all up to EFAC. He'll get one. Can't get the stop, though. Fantastic round there from Liquid.
It's just showing the threats that all of these teams have. I think the win con for Liquid is quite simple. Nesk needs to show up. It's that simple. Palu usually does quite well. He's consistent. But so far, there's been a worrying trend of Nesk being overshadowed on his role in a number of the last couple majors we've seen. Even yesterday, Nesk had some bad performances. And when I say bad, they're not terrible, but by Nesk's standards, they're quite poor.
You set the bar too high, man. That's what happens. That's what happens. And the big thing with Nesk is that amongst his teammates, he actually has the most duels out of all of them, but he's also negative on his entry for this event. He's -6 right now. But the big thing is that Palu has been setting the world on fire. And a lot of times where we see those interactions where Nesk goes down, Palu is right there to pick up the pieces and make sure they at least stay even, or as we know from him, take it one step further, get that extra frag onto the refrag that's incoming from the defense, or whatever, just the opposition at that moment. So expect to see that, but with Nesk and how he's playing at the current moment, it looks like he woke up ready for today.
Absolutely. I mean, you come into this match and Palu is the most kills in the entire tournament.
Yes.
Shaiko is in second. If you're hunting records, the most kills at an international major is held by Cyber with 182, if I remember correctly. Palu needs about 69 kills in order to get to that point. Shaiko's only a couple kills behind, so it is entirely possible that if we go deep into a best of 5 with overtimes factored in, and both Shaiko and Palu have great games and great matches, that they could challenge that record. But, I mean, it remains to be seen. We were talking about consistency. They've both been so consistent, as has Brede on BDS. Again, we need a big series from Nesk if we want Liquid to compete with BDS. If you don't want them to compete, then you hope that Nesk just doesn't show up. So far, that hasn't been the case, as he's been very strong on his entry.
Well, speaking of Brede, did you know that him and Lagonis actually mainly play Ace and Smoke for this tournament? But the cool thing is that Brede actually survives 45% of the time. He's actually first at the tournament, just edging out Lagonis by 2%, who's at 43. Lagonis, though, is in a three-way tie for first with Shinka and Yuzis in cost at 74%. My God, making him the most effective support player here at this event. But the big thing is that for BDS, they have a lot of openers, they have a lot of chances, a lot of clutch factor here, and this is where they step up to the plate. Shaiko delivers just like he always does, Parker. Brede to throw his hat in the ring as well. And Lagonis, well, he's got to try and do something, doesn't he?
I mean, he's earned that nickname of Lagonis for good reason. But going off in a 1v3 when Shaiko and Brede are still on the board, and add a Lems into it too, because he's certainly no slouch, though he doesn't play anywhere near as flashy or reliably as the other two. That's a tough spot to be in. The good news for Team Liquid is they still have an abundance of time. They try to draw him out, and look at this bait. Perfectly played by Shaiko. Littering the ground with goo mines after shooting out the drone, tossed by Lagonis. That could have been a 5-head play, but no. Instead, Lagonis engaging from that direction. Shaiko on a tiny bit of HP. Huge round from Shaiko. These teams have traded back and forth, but BDS takes their second round.
Well, Brede might have the 4th most clutches at the tournament with 4, but not going to need it that time. Not necessary, but Shaiko will continue to add to his reign of terror on entry. The guy has been absolutely massive this entire tournament. In fact, has the most entry duels of anyone at the tourney currently. Let me pull that up for you guys really quickly. He's actually got 45. He's definitely past that at this moment in time with these couple opening rounds, but he was actually matched with KZ for first, so he's most definitely claimed that crown.
Individual stat lines and the storylines that come with it are two things that we can hyper fixate on. This has been a match that folks have dreamed about for ages, talking about how BDS was this world beater, but always struggling to break through that semi-final berth that they find themselves in, and they've managed to do it, and they're rewarded by going up against Liquid. It's not even like they have a gimme here. It's not like they've gone up against weak opponents or they've had weak opponents show up against them. Suddenly you are going up against a team that just seems to have as much destiny behind them in Team Liquid. Showing up, winning Atlantic City, but then since nothing. Since May of 2018, Liquid has not been able to win a major international competition. I mean, now BDS have obviously never won one, but for a team like Liquid, who are always talked about as being among the best, they're a huge organization. They've got huge names. They've got 2 incredible players on this team. I mean, 5 incredible players, but I mean 2 that always tend to be talked about. And when people say who's on the Mount Rushmore of Rainbow Six, Nesk is always in that conversation, and I think Palu has entered it now quite firmly, but you just have that legacy behind Nesk. It's a rough go for BDS, frankly, but I mean, imagine if you make your first finals berth and you manage to best Liquid. That in and of itself is one hell of a feat. Now, we've been watching Nesk so good on the entry, but he runs into EFAC, and 2 kills for BDS will set the tempo for this round, giving them a huge advantage with 2 minutes to go.
Liquid, it's not going to be that easy. You have to respect this man, especially when he's on Goyo. EFAC, he gets away with too much there. 2 disjointed 1v1s. Nesk, as Parker was just saying, one of the greatest to ever do it, but EFAC, he's a young gun. Spry to the shot, and he's going to be able to pick up to Liquid now playing from the back foot, but they still have hard breach at their disposal, so still have a couple of avenues they can try and open up. Big problem is that BDS has not been missing a step in these opening duels. Team Liquid only really able to muster 1 solid opening thus far.
Well, you've lost your 2 main points of the spear in terms of Nesk and resets when they get into the building. We've got Twitch as the backup for those EMPs. Lems is a Kiba barrier and the Goyo canister by him. Gets droned down in this position, but he's got so much utility that's been expended by the defense, and now he's gonna go hunting for the kill. Gets Lagonis, but Palu has his teammates back a little bit too late. The distraction there from Liquid was not quick enough. BDS has doubled up on Liquid. And they're gonna have to pull off an execute onto this Throne Armory bomb site, Sam, with just a Twitch and a sledge.
Well, they'll be able to get rid of at least the laser gate here with the smoke from Twitch. And as you said, we're back to the funnel strats for Team Liquid. BDS, they're keeping this one open. Plenty of operators around the map. EFAC still on the roam, and this could surprise Palu. At this time, you are suspecting something, but it's all about that time management. EFAC, he's making good on it right now. 007 secret operative moving in behind. To try and work his way over through initiation. I love this angle here, Parker. He's trying to play it safe. See if he heard that drone. He did not. Palu gets decapitated. Askwil as well. BDS in full control of this defense.
Taking Liquid's map and saying, you know what, we're no slouch on Theme Park either. Liquid living and dying off of those entries now, even though that round did not go out in favor of them in the first 50 seconds. The entries from Liquid have been pretty okay, and yet they still only managed to take a single round out of it. Now, in terms of these opening kills, they've been trading back and forth, as we've seen with the rounds. It shows how evenly matched they are. But when you lose very important components of a throne and armory take, you lose your Thatcher, especially damning. If you want to try to open up that maintenance wall, if you want to try to open up the barrels wall on the other side of the map, you're almost certainly going to run into a bandit or an Electroclaw, maybe a mute, depending on how the defenders are going to play this. Having EMPs either in the hands of Thatcher or as the secondary EMP gadget that we've seen a couple times is absolutely imperative, right? And if you don't have multiple hard breachers and you lose your hard breach relatively early, you're doomed. And that's what happened. You lose your Gon 6, you lose nades, you lose EMPs really early on, you lose your hard breacher early on. Liquid just ended up in a position where, yeah, you're in a 2v4, but you're going up against a bomb site where they can nestle in very effectively. They can anchor and not give you an inch. And what are you going to do? You might be able to open up a hatch. You got to push from split, but there's only one other doorway into the bomb site. And that's so easy to sit behind Throne and watch it. And that's providing that BDS are anchoring into that bomb site. If they're roaming, then yeah, that gives a benefit to Liquid if you can hunt them down, but you're only going to be able to have one of those two players on drones at a time. So you're going to be fighting blind in a lot of those rooms. It's going to put you at a huge disadvantage whether you have the utility or not. Liquid were in a bad place after those two first losses, and then added to it when they lost their hard breacher as well.
Absolutely. Team Liquid, same levels, same devils. Have to deal with a lot inside of those two armory defenses, but definitely feel you for that case. Losing your hard breach, losing your Thatcher. No keys to the castle, my friend. That's how it usually goes down when it comes to a throne room defense. BDS now trying to make good on their promise of lab this time around. Nesk will be the first one in the building off the back of the EE1Ds. Liquid's gonna have a little support here on the side windows later on down the line to try and assist him in clearing out this top floor where our Jaeger of Renshiro is going to reside.
Renshiro's got that window next to him and could give a sound cue for Shaiko as to whether he wants to jump out, but Renshiro takes matters into his own hands. Palu on Repel can't do a single thing. Both players from BDS itching for a kill, and it's Renshiro to get on the board finally. After 4 rounds, Shaiko adds to it. These entry from Liquid that we'd seen earlier seems so strong, is fallen by the wayside, and yet again it's a 5v3 for BDS. Make it a 5v2, Sam.
Incredible from BDS and this crowd here, and Sweet is loving it. It's a double for Renshiro. Lagonis, he'll finally try and stem the bleeding, but how much can you do? The AK-12, an amazing gun, but 4 people to find, and Shaiko's still alive. He hasn't really liked people putting him in a body bag either. You could say the same for Brede and the rest of the roster, really. EFAC, currently the most kills to his name, 6 and 3. And he has been one to tussle. Alems, he's trying to flex on him, Parker. He's got the pistol out, but he can't land the shots. Lagonis, he's gonna go hunting, but the rotation, it's already been made from the Wamai. He's gonna drop down. Lagonis, gotta practice that aim lab, man. The timing not working out for him. He's gonna have to go chasing.
He's just wasting time, right? You're just playing keep away at this point. Lagonis has the diffuser, but in a 1v4, there's no way you're gonna try to get objective down. This is isolate, get a kill or 2. Lagonis has 2 to his name. EFAC drops. These are impactless kills unless we can see Lagonis keep it close. Well, that's 40 seconds that's been burned since he was the last one alive on his team. And BDS are still playing keep away as Shaiko waits patiently inside of the bomb site and gives BDS their 4th round. Now, when it was just Lagonis left, there was a combined 16 kills from just 3 players on BDS. For Liquid, 12 for the whole team.
Yeah, it's not looking too hot for Liquid right now, at least from the offensive perspective. Maybe the defense could switch up their fate, but as of right now, BDS is safely in the driver's seat. Doesn't really seem like it has brakes either.
No, and I mean, there's been no timeout taken from Liquid. Are you just hoping for the side swap to carry you forward at this point? Because if I'm Hugzord, after that 4th round, put BDS up 3-1. You could see some frustration on the faces of the Liquid players. Hugzord can hear the comms. To be fair, we can't. So maybe there's more to it than this. but I would be slapping that timeout button to try to settle this team down and get them in the right mindset. Because you got Palu going 1-4. Hasn't been effective on entry. He hasn't been the main entry, to be fair. Nesk has been. But Palu has that 1-2 punch to follow up. Has been largely invisible in that role, playing more flex, allowing Ness to go and make his own space, but Palu isn't able to do anything through the mid-round. The support cast of Resets and Ask are combined for 2 and 9. That is very poor, and they've been killed far too early for support players as well, Sam. So I don't know what Liquid is thinking when it comes to these timeouts, but if you're going to wait until the second half, you could be calling a timeout as the second half begins, and you're down 5-1. That's not where Liquid wants to be on their map.
Well, it doesn't look like you have to worry too much. I think Lagotness might actually have this one, Parker. Changed up a couple things here for Liquid. Lion in, but the big thing to talk about is Ask on this Monty. They're looking to control the defense, and they start off strong onto a Lems. This Monty, this Lion, this is how you shut down someone that's roaming heavy, getting in your face, trying to take those fights. Somebody like Shaiko, when you have that light heavyweight up against you trying to swing for the fences, this is how you try and slow him down, and so far it's working out for Liquid. Another EE1D out here. They're gonna try and back this up with some info game, but Nesk, he's lurking down low.
There's 2 hard breachers technically for Liquid because Ask's Montaigne has those secondary hard breach gadgets in his back pocket. Coming along with the Selmas of Lagonis. Lagonis favoring this operator of Ace through all of these rounds now. BDS in a 4v5 with a Monty against you, but they soften up Ask so well, and it's capitalized! Evac dives out, 2 from Liquid drop. What a remarkable play. The ball's on this man to go up to 8 kills through these 6 rounds. And there's more to be found too. Liquid in bad shape. Brede from inside of the bomb site shuts down Resets. Palu can't do a single thing, and it's looking like that 5-1 half that we talked about. Nesk was usually the first one in the building. He'll be the last one to get in, but he's got a tall task ahead of him, Sam. 4 players to be found.
Trials and tribulations. Frag grenade out here. Not gonna find too much. Mismanaged. Not cooked properly. A little over-fried, over-seasoned from Nesk. Looks like this round's gonna be going to the wayside very quickly. Oh, very close for Shaiko. Another nade out. He's gonna play it close. Pre-fires here. Nesk does have enough time if BDS want to mess this up to the fullest, but they won't. Shaiko, oh my. What an incredible start for BDS as it's a 5-1 half.
Almost as close to perfect, as you can see. And now all they need to do is win 2 rounds on attack. I'd like to remind everybody that this is Team Liquid's map choice. So you're already in a troubling spot. Team Liquid have kept that timeout in their back pocket. Has not been called by their coach yet. And I mean, let's say you lose this first round. Because you're not gonna call a timeout here. You're not gonna call it before a single round on defense has been played. But you lose here, you're calling a timeout on a 6-1 scoreline. Now, Liquid is certainly a team that can come back from that. BDS is as well. Neither of these teams make it to a finals if they don't have that staying power. But again, I have to question the timing of that timeout. Because the strategic element from Liquid is there. You can see what they're trying to do by getting their pieces into place. But they're not droning effectively. EFAC and Shaiko have both been able to punish Liquid because of poor entry work after those first 3 rounds. Nesk cooled off. Nobody else from Liquid seemed to be able to gain information and get a kill from it.
Yeah.
And even in that last round, Liquid technically drew first blood. Then BDS got the next 5 kills. So yeah, congratulations, Team Liquid. You got that first pick. You get nothing else past that. So that's, again, when we talk about these numbers, sometimes they don't tell the whole story and say, well, you know, Team Liquid got 4 first bloods of the 6 rounds. That's excellent. But if all of those first bloods are a single pick, and then you get clobbered 5-0 in terms of kills after that, that first kill really doesn't amount to much.
No, it doesn't. It's one of our favorite phrases in North America, right? Any given Sunday. It doesn't matter what the stats are. It doesn't matter what your name is.
Is that a football reference?
Yeah.
We're in Europe.
NA football.
We're in Europe, so we call it soccer in North America.
Don't start. I mean, hey, we drew with England, which is a loss for them.
Well, you drew with England. We lost to
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Canadians.
Okay.
Imagine having a population of 60 million.
30
The whole country. Oh,
Imagine being educated in America.
that's true. You got me there. Oh, man. Oh, man. Well, let's see if Team Liquid has educated themselves on this defense. The offensive side not looking too hot. even after Lagona's changed things up for their offense. I love the operator lineup call. I hated where they started, Parker. They tried to go for the full map clear, and they let BDS enact upon them very early in that round. Like to see them go more direct like they did that previous time when they won Bunkin Daycare, but apparently wasn't in the cards. Now we'll see if BDS have their 6th round. Shaiko gonna end up losing his Gemini clone. BDS are setting up this top floor well for a clear. Already have quite a few bodies around the area.
That Gemini clone being killed by the Black Mirror that's up at the top of Yellow Stairs at least gives you some intel. It tells you that there is somebody actively holding that spot. Because at this point, with 1:15 off the board, Liquid could have very easily fallen back and gotten back to the bomb site, and you, as the attackers, won't necessarily know if somebody is actively engaging from that spot. The fact that they know that Palu is there means that job well done from the Gemini clone. Palu looked like he was going to get a bit aggressive into the faces of BDS, but instead, BDS have now repositioned, and it seems like they want to go through the main lobby.
Oh my God. Team BDS are already in behind Throne right now. They're inside. They're planting. BDS, they actually droned the map, Parker. EFAC with a triple kill. It's going to be up to Ask, and this is asking a lot. They've mismanaged the entire map, and they've been punished for it. BDS, they quickly, over on the maintenance side, they sledge to the wall and they plant. That was it. That's all they needed.
Liquid will call a timeout when you retake it. Because at that point, BDS, who are the attackers, they're defending the bomb site with the diffuser down. And now it's Liquid who has to retake through Split. It's Liquid who have to retake through that drone door. And you've not been given any assists here from BDS. They made your job a lot harder. And now it's Liquid on map number 1. Liquid's map choice. That BDS have won 5 rounds in a row and are sitting on match point.
I would just like to point out also in that last round that EFAC, he was actually just laying in the grass the entire time. He had been inside of lab and storage, Parker,
checking his emails
for about 1:30 seconds before all of that popped off. He basically existed there the entire time. He was waiting for Liquid to make their move. And of course, the singular man on site from Liquid's like, hey, they just kind of popped the wall and they're inside.
Guys?
Please? Someone?
Hello?
And then they're like, oh, well, EFAC shot us all, so.
Like they're standing there, I need an adult.
Yeah, I need an adultier adult. That's probably what they thought at that current moment in time. Liquid, they're going to call their TAC timeout, Parker, but as you were talking about earlier, I don't think that this is their saving grace. They're going to need a lot more than a wish and a prayer here in this moment. Shaiko is going to drone in once again, and BDS have been so dissective of Liquid thus far through the series.
Yeah, they've cut through them grace and ease, frankly. Before we even really got underway with round number 1, we said, shone the spotlight on Nesk and said, hey, you're the one that we need a consistent game out of. But it's the top kill getter at this entire event of Palu, who's currently going 1-6. Again, is he being mismanaged on his role? He's played in a grand final before. It's not like this is the first time. There's not going to be any beginner shakes. I mean, obviously, there's a mental and emotional weight on these players. You know how much this moment means to both of them. But what's going on with Palu? Just yesterday, our dear friend Yardi, Drip Boolin, asked what is it that makes Palu so good when everybody plays at the same level? Well, I mean, there was a wide range of answers, but whatever it is, whatever the secret sauce is for Palu, he's got to find it, and he's got to find it fast, because frankly, going 1-6 is just strictly not good enough for most teams here at this event. Oh! Let alone BDS. Renshiro starts things off on this round and puts Team Liquid 4 deaths away from a loss on their first map, and BDS won it all. They're gonna try to take no prisoners, but Liquid gets the lineup. They gun them down. Brede answers back, 7-1. Reset says no thank you. BDS losing numbers, but Shaiko keeps it even. Still a minute to go. Shaiko and Alem side by side. Staring at the bomb chassis, no diffuser in hand. This will be solely for kills at this point. Palu couldn't hit the broadside of a barn as he gets toppled by Shaiko. If Resets doesn't pull this off, well, that's all she wrote, and he sees the Osa. That's a tough spot to be in. Back into the A bomb site, diffuser in the hands of Shaiko. Behind that Talon shield, gets the read on it. He wants his 11th kill. Resets just evading for now, softened up, doing damage to Alems. Back and forth they'll go, and it's BDS to double up. And they take Liquid's map 7-1.
You can hear the crowd here in Jönköping rooting on our French squad as they propel